Done it again. They've sent a massive memo to clubs demanding answers by the end of January, which concern things like stomach punches, them becoming suspensions, concussion cases to be regraded, and fines being slashed. And we know now wildcards are here to stay. The AFL finally are fixing the MRO circus, or is it adding more rules and more confusion to the game we love? Let's talk about whether the AFL actually listen to the players and the fans, or is footy on a roller coaster to nowhere? G'day, you beautiful humans. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I am Pom. This is PommyInOz. We talk all things AFL, the good, the bad, the downright confusing. So if you are enjoying the content, please smash that like and subscribe. It does help the channel out. And today we're diving into AFL's new 2026 regulations memo. This big document has been sent to all clubs, and they have until the end of January to give their feedback on the proposed changes that will roll out in the new AFL and AFLW season. In this video, we're going to break it down in plain English. Why stomach punches are about to cost you a week, not a fine. How concussion incidents might finally stop being an automatic 3-week suspension. And why players could save around 130k in fines under the new system. And the extra bits, umpire contact tweaks, ads on headbands, wildcard finals, and all Australian selection. The big question I have for you in this whole video, though, is this too many rules or too much fine-tuning? Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing for the game? So let's start with the headline that everyone will look at first. Stomach punches becoming suspensions, and that will be the first cab off the rank. The AFL wants any intentional strike to an opposition player to automatically be graded as medium impact under the MRO matrix. This, in plain English, means a deliberate shot to the body equals a one-match ban. Not a whack as a grand, and we'll call it square fine, an actual suspension. They've even showed examples to the club. Classic round arm digs to the guts. They were previously low impact, fine only offences. Under the new proposal, these exact actions now are suspension territory. And to give it some real world context, think back to Marcus Windhager on Nick Dacos. He was offered about a $1,000 fine for a strike in a very controversial incident. Under the new system, that type of action, deliberate punch, could see him miss a week instead of paying a bill. Now, technically, his original punishment was a fixed financial sanction, not fully graded under the new framework, but it tells you everything about where the AFL's heading. If you throw a punch, even to the body, you're going to be treated like you've struck an opponent and you wear a week. Some people will cheer this. Others will say the game's gone soft. Hold that thought. We'll come back to that one. Now, the next one is concussions and severe impact and that problem it presents. These are big changes in the concussion incidents. At the moment, anything that results in a concussion has basically been graded as severe impact, and severe impact equals a 3-week ban. That's where you get the frustration we've seen over the last couple of years as the AFL clamour to try and fix concussions. Bumps, tackles, split-second decisions that go wrong, like the Paul Curtis tackle. And because of that, the outcome has become concussion. Blokes are getting 3 weeks, even when a lot of fans, players, and even coaches look at the incident and go, yeah, it's careless, but it's not worth 3 weeks. It's part of the game. Now, the AFL is proposing to give a match review officer, Michael Christian, a little bit more flexibility. Instead of concussion equals severe, he's allowed to call it high or medium impact if the action itself doesn't deserve the absolute maximum grading. Now, in real terms, this means some of them borderline incidents where we look at it as a footy issue, where the contact isn't malicious but it's at high speed, where the player is unlucky and cops a concussion, will automatically blow your player out for 3 weeks. Players have literally called the tribunal a circus at times. Connor Nash said that after copping 4 weeks earlier in the year for something he admitted he got wrong but felt the punishment didn't fit the crime. This tweak could ease some of that angst if it applies consistently. Now, the issue you have with this is, again, human interpretation and human error. And when the AFL have been given the tools to make decisions, invariably, it causes a little bit of distress, doesn't it? Now, let's talk fines, because these numbers are wild. Total fines have gone from 197k in 2023 to a massive 627,000 975 in 2025. That's more than triple, and a lot of that is because of the repeat fine system and stacking penalties across different little incidents. The AFLPA have been on the warpath about this for nearly 18 months, and they've said players understand punishment, but this fine system has felt more like a cash grab than a means to implement the rules. So what's changing? 1. Repeat fines only stack for the same offence. Right now, you can get escalating fines for repeat low-level offences, even if they're completely different. A little melee here, minor contact there, it just piles up. Under the proposal, fines only escalate if you do the same thing. So, 4 melees, that stacks. A melee then a shove in another game, that's something else. That doesn't build the same way as it did before. And fines only accumulate across one season, not two. Previously, your little indiscretions followed you over a 2-year cycle. Under the new rules, as soon as the new season starts, your slate is clean. The AFL own memo even reads the same. The first change would save players around 54,500 and the second change around 75,625. So roughly 130k less in fines over a season. That's not nothing, and it directly targets one of the biggest criticisms from players. They were consistently getting slugged for small things well beyond what was feeling proportionate. So again, we're seeing a pattern here. Harsher on deliberate grubby acts, softer on clumsy stuff, which we want the players to make mistakes in a safe manner. Umpire contact is being walked back finally. Now, when you talk about umpire contact, this was a huge flashpoint over the last couple of years. The AFL rushed through a rule mid-season this year. If you tally up 4 instances of umpire contact over 2 years, you automatically sent to a tribunal and potentially suspended. Umpires hated it. We all hated it. 70% of surveyed players said it was completely unfair, and they're tweaking it again. You now need 4 incidents of umpire contact in one season before a ban even comes on the table. The bar is higher. The window is shorter. It's still, for me, easy to get rubbed out by accidentally brushing an umpire. We saw how often the umpires did get in the way. We saw this play out this year with Adam Cherra. He got sent to the incident tribunal for his 4th offence, but the suspension was never really on the table. He got a $5,500 fine for literally the umpire walking in his way. The whole thing at the time felt pointless. It does look still pointless now. The AFL points out, though, that umpire contact reduced by 50%. So from their viewpoint, the shock factor worked, but clearly there was zero buy-in from the players and certainly the fans. The new tweak is like a compromise, keeps the deterrent, but stops players hopefully getting dragged for something that really is irrelevant in today's game. Now, on top of the big ticket items, the memo is full of some smaller tweaks that still matter, and we'll run through them as quickly as we can. So we've got pushing in the marking contact equals rough contact. Now, we've seen this quite a few times, and we talk about it on this channel. This is exceptionally dangerous. Plussing a player in a marking contact will now be rough conduct. This was already introduced mid-season, but now it's officially locked in. It's about protecting the player in the air. Don't shove them. Don't tunnel them. Let them fly at the ball. Tribunal timings for Thursday games. Now, if a team is playing on Thursday night, the tribunal sits on a Monday instead of a Tuesday. This tiny admin change helps with selection, but more importantly, preparation. No more waiting until the second hour of the tribunal thinking, is this bloke playing or not? Now, no sponsor logos or offensive symbols on any form of material. This is your Bailey Smith Nike swoosh moment and your Darcy Fogarty's Cooper situation. The AFL is saying no sponsorship logos on headbands and no inappropriate symbols on uniforms, skin, including temporary tattoos. Some of the tattoos are quite offensively bad, but evidently temporary tattoos is where we draw the line. Basically, you're not running your own campaign on our broadcast, is what they're saying. Dillon and Swan override mark and goal of the year. The CEO, Andrew Dillon, and footy bass Greg Swan can now nominate mark and goal of the year, even if it didn't win the weekly vote. So if something ridiculous happens in the games where the fans and the panel somehow miss it, they can elevate it. A little in case the system stuffs up safety valve has been added. And how many of them have we seen in the AFL? And now all Australian teams are 23 players. With 5 players now on the bench during matches, the AFL will match that. an extra chance for your favourite son to be an All-Australian. Not a huge shift, but ceremonial and team consistency with modern-day matchday squads, it makes sense. Now, the big one is subs removed and wildcard is confirmed. And literally, we've talked about this before. The memo formally enshrines these two things. The substitute is now gone. We have an extra man on the bench. Wildcards are in. Postseason is now 10 teams. The wildcard weekend is going to keep a lot more clubs and fan bases invested deep in the season. But it's going to cause endless arguments about whether we're rewarding mediocrity. I accept that, but that is it. Now, the question I'm going to pose to you, is it too much or is it actually good? Let's answer that big question together. Is this just too many rules on top of rules? Too much tinkering? Too much fine-tuning? Is it going to be a good thing for footy? Now, the too much argument for me is, let's be honest, it's frustration, isn't it? It feels like there's a memo every year that the game can start to feel like it's run more by men in suits and lawyers than actual footballers. There's always a new matrix, new interpretations, and it's exhausting. Physically versus optics, people want hard, tough, fair footy every time. A bump and a tackle ends up as a 3-page explanation. Feels like we're drifting further from the instinctive, physical aspects of our game and going to a more watered down version. And inconsistency never magically goes away. The more parts you add that are moving, the more gradings, the more categories, the more subjective it becomes, and therefore the more mistakes and the more frustrations occur because of the different interpretations and outcomes. People start to lose trust. Wildcard, no subs, more tweaks. The wildcard finals changing what is a fairly new final system, an 8-team, into now a 10. It does feel like the AFL can't help but leave something alone and have to tinker with it. If you're already fed up with MRO tribunals, this memo might not be what you're wanting. But the actual good thing argument, and I think this is where a fair counterpoint needs to be had, the deliberate dirty acts, for me, are the ones that need punishing. That's the one that causes injury. If you're throwing someone off the ball, punch to the guts when they're not looking, these kind of things don't need to be in the game. That's not tough. That's stupidity. And this sort of stuff needs to be stamped out. Careless footy acts needs to be nuanced, right? Automatically calling every concussion incident severe, for me, was too blunt. Given the MRU room to grade some of these as high and medium is exactly what I think we need, because sometimes a lot of these fines and suspensions have been football in action. The fine system for me is predatory. Scaling fines for the same offence makes sense because you want players to learn, but having it as a touch of the umpire and then a bump, these are two different things, and doing it over a year makes sense. Umpire contact really does annoy me. The change now for 4 in 2 years to 4 in 1 season responds to the player backlash and gives them time to adjust. So you can make strong cases for both. The AFL, for me, isn't going softer. It has to get the balance right, and we know once you give someone power, it's hard to regain it back. For me, the memo is a weird mix of overcomplication but genuine process that I like. On the one hand, it's another layer of rules, language and tiny tweaks that we know it's going to be a real annoying thing to commentate on in 2026. On the other hand, when you actually strip it back, a lot of this is what the players have asked for and the supporters have been quietly thinking. So hits, deliberate grub acts, be a bit harder, but being a little bit more lenient for football acts that sometimes do have a negative connotation. So if, and that's a big if the AFL apply these consistently, could actually be a good thing, not a bad one. But that's just my read. I want to know what you guys and girls reckon. Has the AFL gone too far with the rules? Is it a fairer system? Do you think the game's gone soft? Are you in that camp? Or are you in the, it's about time they fixed it and add a bit of common sense? Drop your thoughts in the comments. You know I read everyone. I try and respond to everyone. Let me know what annoys you about this memo and what changes you actually like. If you enjoyed the breakdown, hit the like and subscribe. We've got a Christmas stream coming up soon because it'll be the last time this year I get to speak to you all. I'm Pom. Love you in your guts. See you next time.
Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played